أعزائي المشاهدين، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله، وأهلا ومرحبا بكم في حلقة جديدة من برنامج ضيف وقضية. المهاجرون في ولاية ميشيغان ومنهم العرب الأمريكيون والكلدان يحتلون مرتبات متقدمة في التفوق اقتصاديا من بين سكان 25 ولاية أمريكية. ديترويت ذات الوجه العالمي تستعيد مكانتها رويدا لتتبوأ مركز الصدارة في استقبال المهاجرين والمستثمرين الأجانب لخلق وظائف تستجيب لحاجات هذه الولاية التي وفدت إليها طلائع المهاجرين في بداية القرن الماضي. من بين المنظمات والهيئات العديدة العاملة في منطقة ديترويت والضواحي، يتحدث الكثيرون في ولاية ميشيغان وفي هذه المنطقة تحديدا عن منظمة استحدثت مؤخرا لتقديم الخدمات الضرورية لمن يبحث عن الوعي والثقافة والمعرفة للمساعدة في تحقيق الأهداف الأساسية للوجود هنا في ولاية ميشيغان، ومن هذه الأهداف تحقيق الحلم الأمريكي. ضيفتنا في حلقة هذا الأسبوع ترأس منظمة تدعى Welcome Mat. قبل أن تصبح مسؤولة هذه المنظمة، عملت الضيفة في العديد من المواقع الهامة والأساسية المتعلقة بخدمات الإنسان، من بينها مسؤولة دائرة الهجرة والتجنس في الانترناشونال انستيتيوت، ومسؤولة الهجرة والتجنس في المنظمة الكاثوليكية للخدمات الاجتماعية، كما خدمت في سلك التدريس الجامعي حيث درست مادة الهجرة وقوانينها في كلية أوكلاند، وكنت أنا أحد تلاميذها على ما أعتقد في نهاية تسعينيات القرن الماضي. انتخبت ضيفتنا عضوا في مجلس إدارة تعليم مدينة ديترويت أو ديربون لدورتين متتاليتين، وربما كان أكثر ما يميز نشاطات الضيفة الكريمة الاجتماعية الثقافية هي الإيمان بشكل كبير جدا في العمل التطوعي. يسرني أعزائي المشاهدين استضافة السيدة الباحثة الاجتماعية المعروفة ميري لين. I would like to welcome you. How are you?
Thank you.
I would like to share with our audience tonight to give us information or shed some light about the new organization, the new entity that you are in charge of, called Welcome Mat Detroit. What is it?
I'm very happy to share this information with everyone, and I hope people will go to our website. I brought along some pictures. Our website is easy. It's welcomematdetroit.org. So our website, our project is immigrant integration. It's for people to use, immigrants, international students, and Americans who are interested in the other cultures in the Detroit region.
Okay.
So immigrant integration is what we're trying to foster. And we're trying to make that as simple as possible. We have a website that we created, which has on the first page, when you go to welcomematdetroit.org, it opens up onto a searchable database. This database has, and I brought along some pictures to show you.
Sure.
It's very easy to search in this database for what immigrant services are in Detroit, for ethnic organizations, for even media like TV, print media like this. So you can go in there, and if you are an immigrant or if you're a friend of an immigrant, an international, so you go in there and you can look and you can say, where are other Jamaican organizations?
Okay.
What organizations are in Roseville? I need to get citizenship classes. Where are those? So you can go in and search for all of those things.
So
it's very easy to use.
This organization is geared to all immigrants from all walk of life who are residing or who are newcomers to the Tri-County areas.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And do you help them? How do you provide that services? I mean, I'm sure that you have excellent resources in the community. You have resources about social services, about immigration, talk about this.
Right. Now, we do not ourselves provide service. There's already a group of agencies that provide immigration services. There are agencies, International Institute, Access, Arab Chaldean Council, Detroit Hispanic Development. There are agencies that have specific services. What we do is we bring those together, right, for people to be able to find those services, right. So there is a drop-down menu. By the way, we have Google Translate on there in 50 languages, and it works. It's not perfect, but it works pretty. And we know it's not perfect. But sometimes it is.
Sometimes I use it in so many occasions. But you know what?
We don't have the ability that Cisco has. We don't have the ability to, like Google, we don't have billions of dollars. But their translation is getting better. So you can go in there and translate on the website.
Can I translate now what you said?
Sure, sure, go ahead.
أعزائي المشاهدين، تقول السيدة ميري لين أن منظمة ويلكم مات ديترويت هي منظمة استحدثت مؤخرا من أجل مساعدة المغتربين الذين يأتون، القادمين الجدد الذين يأتون لولاية ميشيغان بشكل عام ولمنطقة ديترويت والضواحي، وتحديدا المقاطعات الرئيسة الثلاث، أو من أجل تسهيل إجراءات تواصلهم مع المجتمع الجديد واندماجهم في هذا المجتمع. هذه المنظمة لديها علاقات تنسيق وعلاقات تواصل يومي مع الكثير من المؤسسات الإنسانية. هذه المؤسسة سنتعرف بالتفصيل أكثر على يعني أهم البرامج، إضافة إلى تحويل العربي الأمريكي أو الكلداني الأمريكي أو القادم من دول أمريكا اللاتينية إلى ما يحتاج إليه من مساعدات. I would like to ask you also who initiated this.
Thank you, because I want to be sure to mention that. This project is funded by Kellogg Foundation. W.K. Kellogg is very interested in community development and education and youth. So it's funded by Kellogg Foundation. But the vision for this project and some other sister projects came from Global Detroit. So Global Detroit has done, over the last years when the metro area and the entire state of Michigan has been in serious recession, they were funded to study how could our economy be revived. So there's a bunch of different funders: New Economy Initiative, Skillman Foundation, Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce, and Global Detroit went and interviewed hundreds of people, hundreds of hours, and they developed a couple of different projects to make Michigan and Detroit area more welcoming, so that immigrants could come here and could flourish. People could feel welcome, they could upgrade their skills and integrate into American society and become the most productive that they could become. So then our project was established from that vision, and with a couple of different partners. So all the time we're thinking about how do we collaborate to bring in all the different organizations. So even from the beginning we were about collaboration.
هذه المنظمة أعزائي المشاهدين كما ذكرت السيدة ماري لين ممولة من قبل أحدى أهم المنظمات المانحة اللي هي College Organization or College Institute، وهذه المنظمة تعنى بشؤون منح الأموال التي تأتي بشكل تبرعات من أفراد ومنظمات أمريكية في كل الولايات المتحدة، وخاصة هنا في ولاية ميشيغان. تمنح قروض ومنح سنوية من أجل خدمة القادمين الجدد إلى الولايات المتحدة، من أجل تداخلهم وتفاعلهم مع المجتمع الأمريكي، من أجل تحقيق الهدف النهائي كما ذكرت في البداية وذكرت السيدة ماري لين، تحقيق الحلم الأمريكي. وهذا الحلم الأمريكي هو إيجاد ربما بيت، وإيجاد والتواصل بشكل يومي مع كافة مؤسسات المجتمع الأمريكي، وأن يكون الشخص الأمريكي الجديد في هذا المجتمع on his own كما يقولون. I am sure that Detroit Welcome Mat, as you said, established by Global Detroit and other maybe immigrants themselves who are part of global Detroit.
Right.
Explain to our audience what is the relation between global Detroit and Welcome Mat?
Well, Global Detroit had this big study, which came out in 2010, and suggested about 8 to 11 different ways that Michigan, and particularly Southeast Michigan,
Sure.
could revitalize itself. One, and a lot of that thrust is about welcoming immigrants, because immigrants have been, since the beginning of our country, they've been the basis of our country, and also we know that people who immigrate are self-starters.
Yes.
Obviously, somebody has to have confidence to immigrate, and they start businesses at a higher rate. They tend to have higher rates of education, lower rates of incarceration.
Sure.
So the push was to develop different strategies, 8 different strategies, to help Detroit regain its economic basis and flourish more. So our project is one project. We have some sister projects. One is called Welcoming Michigan, and that's to let Americans, mainstream Americans, meet refugees and other immigrants to the community in a comfortable setting, so that Americans know who are the newcomers. Another project is Prosper Us, which is an entrepreneurship program to help people who have a business idea get it off the ground.
Sure.
Tell people what they need to know to get started in a business. We know that immigrant businesses have a very high success rate, and immigrant businesses have revitalized the United States, not just Michigan. So Prosper Us is another project. Another one of the projects that Global Detroit launched is Global Talent Retention, which is to get international students who have advanced degrees here. They're coming, thousands of 25,000 international students per year
here
are
in
coming
American universities
in
and
Americans,
educational
right?
institutions.
Exactly. In Michigan, we have, oh boy, is it 25,000 in
About-
Michigan and several
about
hundred
maybe
thousand
30.
in the U.S.
Sure.
So those students that have ideas to start a business or to get work experience, to let them know what opportunities are here. Now, I know Governor Snyder has proposed
Global
recently, he's Global Michigan, and he wants to make Michigan, he proclaimed Michigan the most welcoming state in the union,
Sure.
which is great.
Maybe the third or the fourth.
Right, and he'd like to have an EB-5 that was just recently
Visas.
in his, special visas. That was one of his mentions
yes.
in the State of the State address.
Yes.
So Global Detroit has a couple of other ideas, and then Welcome Mat was one of those sister projects.
Sure. Like any other entities or organizations, especially here in the American society, any new organization must have board of directors, advisory boards, staff. Talk about this.
Yeah, we have an advisory council, and I'm very grateful to those people who serve on my advisory council. They represent most of our partner agencies and member agencies, so a lot of them are from Refugee Services, Catholic Charities, Lutheran Services, U.S. Committee for Refugees, Jewish Family Service, but not just Refugee Services, Immigration Legal Services agencies. Some ethnic clubs, you know, there's lots of ethnic clubs, and there's religious ethnic organizations. So we've tried to bring in all of those. Those people give feedback to the project about how do we collaborate, how do we network our organizations together, because you know, we can have Sterling Heights have lots of different communities, and Southwest Detroit or Hamtramck. How do we get everybody to collaborate together?
And I'm sure that you are one of the most effective individual in the Tri-County area, at least, not in the state of Michigan, maybe in the state, in the area of networking. And this is important. Mary Lane is well known all over social services, immigration, economic development, anything you think of. When Mary Lane's name is mentioned, everybody knows her. I would like, maybe I would assume that you are the only working individual or staff member in this organization.
I am. And
Okay.
in fact, though, we're the only one of these that we know of in the United States.
Okay.
The only project like this. And when you think about that, how do you as a newcomer to Chicago or New York, how do you find your way?
Sure.
You know, and or
even educated people, they encounter difficulties.
Oh, it's,
even, you know,
it's a huge system.
especially when it comes to
that's
language.
why, right, exactly. So language is very important.
Yeah.
Employment is very important. People have to get those skills done.
Sure.
And that's why we tried to make our website very simple. We have a calendar of international and ethnic events. So you can find out if there is a Jamaican group coming or is there going to be a Russian ballet. Those things are on our website. But
Sure.
also you can go in and look and find, you can filter it very finely. So you can say, I need Spanish speaking, I need citizenship classes, I need them in Detroit area.
So those who are going to check your website and examine it are not the immigrants themselves, maybe a worker at Access or at the Arab American Chaldean Council or any
No,
other
both.
organization,
Yeah.
both.
No,
because
it's
sometimes the
simple.
newcomers, especially refugees, they don't have that skill.
That's why, though, we tried to keep it very simple. It's got a drop-down menu. If you go and put in Almas TV in there, that will pop up. So if you put in the name of an organization, and you'll recognize it because we have pictures on there, so people can understand it.
Sure.
And then there's some translation on there. But also don't forget that people, once their children come,
Sure.
you know, they start integrating into the community.
I am sure, knowing you, that you depend a lot on volunteer.
Oh yes.
And maybe you are the only working
Yes,
staff
yes.
at Welcome Mat.
Yeah.
But talk about the volunteer part of
I've
that.
been really blessed to have. I've had a lot of students who were really wonderful. I've had some volunteers through a couple of different Detroit organizations. So I've even had an international volunteer who came from Germany,
Okay.
who worked with us for a short period of time. She went out, interviewed, and put up a block of all of the English as a second language classes. We have a list of those, and you can look for those by county. You can look for those alphabetically. Macomb Schools, where is that? Dearborn Public Schools, so you can find out where the classes are.
How many volunteers you have?
I've had more than 15 volunteers
really?
over the last year. And those are people that are putting in anywhere from maybe 2-3 hours a week to anywhere up to 15 or 20 hours
Usually
a week,
how
almost
long?
a full worker.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. How many? How long a giving volunteer work for? A month, 6 months, a year? Or?
I have some volunteers who are with me now more than 1 year. Typically, if for a student, for example, I've had a number of different graduate students, and they have usually been working with me for an internship for about 1 semester.
Oh,
So
okay.
4 months. And I'm so fortunate because I can, you know, these are educated people. They have a commitment
Sure.
to immigrant services. Many of them are immigrants themselves. So when I say, Mariana, can you put this on the calendar? Can you search out? They'll dig into the job and they do it. And that's why.
For the benefit
got
of
what we
young
have.
people or students at various universities, colleges, and educational institutions in the Tri-County areas, can you give insight or a little bit of information or your description of a volunteer? What they do exactly?
You know, everything that I look at that we produce is about human work.
Okay.
Volunteering is a work product. It's a work product, but it's not paid for. And so much of our economy is pushed forward by volunteers. We
Sure.
have volunteers in schools, in hospitals, libraries. Where would we be without volunteers?
Sure.
So really a volunteer is a worker who is not getting paid. What they're gaining is experience, a recommendation, and what they're putting into it is their knowledge and their heart. So
And mostly those
It's
people who
great.
are interested in these areas
Yes.
are studying human services, maybe social work, international.
anthropology, one of my students. Another one is education, immigrant integration. Yes, exactly.
So when we talk about Welcome Mat, it exists in the Tri-County area. How about other
four-county
Oh,
area.
four-county
We have
areas.
the three main tri-county and
Uh-huh.
Washtenaw County
Oh,
also.
Washtenaw, Ann Arbor, and Ypsilanti areas.
And then in our Immigration Legal Services database, we have the entire state of Michigan. So, you know, the whole,
really?
whole state. Yeah.
This is great. I mean, how? I mean, we have in our community, especially the Arab American and Chaldean community, increasing number of newcomers almost on daily basis.
Yes.
You know that what's happening in Iraq or in Syria or in Lebanon, that's caused so many immigrants or even refugees to come to our area.
Yeah.
Do you have enough resources, or these organizations have enough resources to provide the best possible human services
that's
to
always
them?
a political question, and there's not enough resources. Resources are very tight, so everybody tries to use resources very carefully. And a lot of that is about the political environment. For example, just recently, U.S. Citizenship or the U.S. State Department, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration announced some new initiatives on Syrian refugees who are going to be admitted into the United States. So
Sure.
those wins come and go.
You're talking about TPS? Or,
TPS,
Yes.
but yeah, there will be Syrian refugees. We're all expecting that Syrian refugees
Oh,
will.
really?
Well, we're expecting that
Just
they
like
will
what
be.
happened to the
It just
Iraqi
like
and
what
the
happened
other
in Iraq,
Honduras
right?
and-
Exactly.
yeah.
Afghanistan before that, and so many other tragic situations around the world. So. The need is huge,
Sure,
right? Which is why we tried to make our resource simple for people to use so that refugees can assist themselves, because we know that the agencies do not get enough money
Right.
to do everything for them.
Now, Mary, when we talk about, earlier you said this organization, Welcome Matt, does not provide direct service,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Not even English as a second language?
No, we're trying to form some groups, conversation partners, conversation clubs, because there is a need, and that's one of our three areas that we think that immigrants really need assistance with, to make sure they're getting legal status, immigration legal services, then English as a second language, because almost everybody wants to learn English. They try to learn English,
Right.
even if they're senior citizens. It's harder. It's a lot easier for a kindergartner to learn English. And then the last thing is employment.
Do you have, Mary, or your organization, or the mother organization, Global Detroit, have any information, statistical information about the number of refugees, not just refugees, immigrants in Detroit or the four counties? Do you have approximate number?
Global Detroit and Data Driven Detroit just partnered on a study of Detroit. I don't remember what those numbers are, because those numbers, they were checking their statistical variance before they released a report. But the last figure that Global Detroit was giving is 360,000 immigrants in the metro area.
From all
right?
walk of life?
From all walks, high to low, and from every nationality on the earth.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This is a
Almost.
low
There's-
number, isn't it?
That's an
what-
old number. That number
Old
is
number,
several
yeah.
years old. But Michigan does not have as many immigrants as other places. We have about 6%, maybe
So
6 to 8%
When
of our
we talk about
population.
when we talk about immigrants in general, that include Arab Chaldean.
Oh yes,
Also.
oh yes,
And, there
and
was,
those are huge communities.
There was a study a few years ago by the University of Michigan, the Social Institute, and they were talking about, I don't know, 5 million, maybe?
Well, I don't know what number
Yeah.
they were throwing out, but in Dearborn alone, there's probably people
30,
say
30,000,
60, yeah, maybe
yeah.
30 to 60,000 in the Dearborn Heights area.
Between
Sterling Heights.
me and you, this is a secret. I don't want to tell anybody. We as Arab, we exaggerate numbers. When it comes to number, we exaggerate most of
Well,
the time.
and part of that is how do you define an immigrant? I
Yeah.
mean, when they become a U.S. citizen, are they still an immigrant?
Well, yeah, this is very good question.
And also, we think that children of immigrants are also in kind of a special category because they've got a bicultural experience.
Sure,
a lot of
sure.
times bilingual also. So who knows what's the number?
Yes, absolutely. What is the state of Michigan is about approximately 10 million, 10 and a half million. What is, or maybe you did not start doing this. Maybe this should be part of welcome mat to count the percentage of all newcomers, or at least for the last 5 years or 10 years in the state of Michigan. What is the percentage of immigrants? Maybe all are immigrants.
Well, the figure that everybody is throwing around is between 6 to 8.1. I think
6%?
most people 6% to 8.1. So 8.1, I think, is the number that most people are using. I know that we think in Detroit we could have a lot. The city of Detroit has a very low percentage. And I know there's some initiatives to try to get people to move into Detroit, to try to declare Detroit an opportunity zone.
A diversity.
Right, exactly.
To what extent that refugees and immigrants in general important to the state of Michigan? How important they are?
How important? Billions of dollars important. At least, what, $3 billion, I think, is
Sure.
the one number that I've heard given out. But immigrants remind us of our heritage as the United States. They remind all of us that almost all of us who are not Native American
Sure.
immigrated here at one time in our family history. So, and immigrants remind us of how valuable our American values are. Immigrants vote at a higher rate. People participate, when they participate civically,
Sure.
they're committed to citizenship. We're, several of our immigration legal services also are trying to increase the citizenship rate for immigrants in the metro area as well. So,
what do you say to those in the mainstream and maybe some of the Arab American and or Chaldean who assimilated into the American culture and American way of life? What do you say to them when they think of the words immigration? It means to them uneducated people who are who come to this country to exhaust all the welfare and the benefit from the government. Is this the image embedded in people's mind about immigrants?
That's been the public discourse for the last 10 years. There's been a lot of anti-immigration sentiment. There's been a lot of political discourse, and a lot of it's been very bitter. But it hasn't been based on facts. There is a population of immigrants that is low education, and a lot of them are working in low-skilled jobs. But for example, agriculture. The reason that those folks are filling those jobs is because Americans are not filling those jobs. Now, some jobs, maybe there are Americans who would take them, but generally speaking, those people came, they had to make a decision to immigrate here, and they want to get ahead. Even people who have low education, when given the opportunity, they will work very hard, they will buy houses, and they will try to live productive lives, and they, generally speaking, will do that. There's another group of immigrants that the political discourse has missed, but a lot of people know it's out there, and that is people that are very hardworking and very well educated, some of the most brilliant people in the world, and they came to the United States so that they could contribute. 1/3 of the Nobel Prize winners recently are naturalized Americans. They're immigrants, born outside the United States. And I could sit here for 10 minutes if I could remember all of them and name all different companies, major American companies that were started by immigrants.
And the most innovative doctors, or forget about engineering. You mentioned companies, doctors.
STEM is huge.
If you take a tour to any hospital in Michigan, you will find so many doctors who born outside the United States. So, what do you say, Mary, to your friends and your associates and your people who you know who think differently about the term immigrant? In your opinion, what they should think about when the word immigration mentioned in front of them?
Well, I love where I came from. I am a mainstream American. My family, certain parts of my family have been here for 13. I'm the 13th generation, but part of my family is the first generation. My husband is an immigrant. So I love all of that. And I tell my mainstream American friends, get to know these other cultures because you
Sure.
add to your
Knowledge.
experience and knowledge.
Sure.
Nobody's taking away from your
Right.
experience. You will get to know a richer side if you do that. And immigration is a good thing for the United States. It built the United States. That was our formula: freedom, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and immigration. That built the United States, and it can continue to build the United States. All anybody needs, from mainstream Americans to immigrants or internationals, everybody needs a little help and to get us on our feet to be productive citizens. That's what our project is trying to do. It's trying to help people, and that's what so many of our member agencies and partners are trying to do.
Let me ask you this, Mary. What does Welcome Mat offer for the African American community? And you work with the African American community, whether in Detroit or Dearborn or wherever. They have, or they encounter lots of difficulty in accessing these programs that you are talking about. Maybe more than Arab American or Latin American. Or do you have in your program anything that will help or geared to help African American people who are in need of help?
We do include in our database African American,
Okay.
because we consider it an American
Mainstream.
minority. It's
Minority,
a mainstream
okay.
American culture,
Sure.
right? But it's an American minority. So we have quite a few of those in our database. And I know that, well, for example, the Prosper Us project is for, it's mostly composed of African Americans.
Okay.
It's place-based, which means it takes people from certain places in Detroit. Most of the folks then are either immigrants or African Americans. And the point is, in our society, to lift everyone up. We need everyone to be contributing. We need all of
Sure.
our folks to be on board.
I know that you are immigration experts, and you are well known in the community as immigration expert. You work at various organizations. You are accredited representative, even though that you have master degree in social work. You are social worker. A very important segment of Global Detroit or Welcome Mat is you mentioned earlier, the B5
EB5.
EB5 visa. Can you shed some light about
The
it?
E-visas were not my specialty. I
Okay.
did mostly other family immigration, or I did political asylum, refugee, deportation, removal.
But it's investment visa.
That is an investment visa. So in employment, employment is a field of immigration. Mostly that's immigration attorneys who do those cases.
Sure.
But people who are highly skilled can get H-1 visas. Usually that's done through an immigration attorney. It's not the immigrant that petitions, it's the company that
Right.
petitions for someone they need. So they do that. And then the EB category is for people who will invest and make jobs for at least 10 Americans. So again, that's a strategy for creating jobs in the United States. So we don't want to take away.
I remember Steve Topokman, your boss, is he right? Or the Global Detroit
Yes, he's
president,
the
or the one who initiated the
Yes,
concept.
Steve's a powerhouse.
Along with the governor of Michigan,
Yes.
they talked about identifying the bright student, foreign student, at various American university here, and give them that visa to work and live in Detroit. Is this something that
that is a reality right now? An international student who has an F or a J visa can work after they graduate. They can work in their field for up to, if they're in a STEM field, they can work for up to 2.5 years in the United States. So they can get experience. Now there's some interest in trying to allow them also to form companies here. And that's part of what Governor Snyder was talking about with the EB5 Center that he wants to have established in Michigan. But students can do that right now. They can do that. They just do not know that. And employers sometimes are worried, can we hire them
But they don't have, this is, we're talking about H1 visa, right?
An H1, right.
H1 visa.
Yeah,
And this is a federal.
but the students
federal
get
program,
a
so-
work authorization while they're a student, and they can work, and then they could be petitioned for as an H1 visa. Right.
Can you educate me, Mary, and the public, those who are following us tonight, about the initiative of the governor? He was talking about the visa for investment visa, but I don't see it different than the federal.
It is
you know,
federal. It is
the
federal
same.
because it's federal law. But the centers that were supposed to be pushing this, only one, and this is again not my area of expertise, but so far as I know, only one of them has been set up in Vermont. So in order for those visas to start to be pushed, he wants to have Michigan set up as another center. That's my understanding of it. So that there's been a visa for victims of crime or trafficking.
Right.
But in the early days, those visas were not being given out until they were pushed. So as soon as advocates and interested stakeholders started to say, "Where's the visas? How many visas are we issuing? Are more coming?" So then they started to come more often. So Governor Snyder did mention the EB5 Center, and then he had another proposal as far as immigration in his State of the State, which was Michigan Office for New Americans, and I guess that'll be called MONA.
MONA, yeah, and this is similar to the,
I don't know
similar
any
maybe
details.
to the
Global Michigan,
Global Michigan or Global Detroit. Steve Tuvokman was talking about opening office at the mayor office.
That
Detroit.
has been discussed for a long time to try to push that forward. It's just, Detroit has right now a lot on its plate. So that was one hope. There's some other projects too. New Michigan Media, cultural ambassadors, to sort of supplement what International Visitors Council is doing, and so there's a lot in the works.
Let me ask you about, again, let's go back to Detroit's welcome mats. How do you reach out? To what extent it's well known in the community at large?
That's my challenge right now. So I really appreciate you having me on, because I need to get the word out to people about this being available. We had a launch, we had some media then, but the metro area is huge, and lots of people do not know about it. That's my challenge for this year, is to get out to as many places as I can and say, hey, check out welcomematdetroit.org. You will find it simple. You will like it when you use it, and use it as a desk reference. You can find resources on there. You can find a calendar. You can find other ethnic organizations.
All human services organizations in the 4 counties area that your
are
organization
specifically
exists.
to immigrants, special cultures.
But they are well aware of your new organization.
No, they're not very well aware, which
not.
is why I'm hoping that you people, when they see this show, they will learn about it, and I'm continuing to go every place I can.
What other tools you use in order to reach out for the maximum number of people in the
We're
community?
trying to, I have a rack card, which I forgot to bring here today, but we have cards that we're putting out at places, libraries, I want to get to the airport, any place where the public comes in, I want to say, look, if you want to connect with ethnic Detroit, here's the place, welcome at Detroit. So I have this card that we're getting out. We have several thousand of those. I go out and I do a public presentation. If anyone wants me to come and speak at their group or at their meeting, I will come out and speak. I have other people who will speak also. I have a quick presentation. I can do 10 or 15 minutes. PowerPoint, boom, boom, boom. This is how you do it. This is what it is. Put your name in here. Select this.
Mary, I know that you are a woman of vision. Where do you see Welcome Mat Detroit 5 years from now? I don't want to say 10 years, 5 years from now.
Well,
how do you envision it?
Well, our challenge right now is to keep our database up to date. because the database, if it grows stale, then people aren't going to use it. So it's got to be up to date. And I get emails coming in, you know, this church says we're having this, we're having an Armenian festival. So I have to have a turnaround time, which is quick. I have to keep it up to date. I have to make sure we're communicating to everybody, because there's always somebody that hasn't heard about your project, and people need to be reminded. Then what we would like to do is get our service providers, to get our ethnic groups, to get our Americans and our immigrants to collaborate to build a better society. So